Contracts are the backbone of a strong business relationship. Contracts are essential at every contact point in your business, whether it's interactions with customers, clients, partners, or vendors. Today, we're going to go through everyday contracts, website essentials, and collaborations. Everyday contracts. These are contracts you are likely to use the most and will edit the most as your business grows. Let's start out with client service agreements, aka master service agreements or one on one service agreements. We're going to spend some time and really break one down in Module 3, but for now, you should know that this is the bread and butter of your business. This is a contract you give to your client that outlines your relationship, what you're providing, and importantly, what you're not providing. Next, independent contractor agreements. If you're hiring a freelancer or contractor to subcontract to for specific things, you need to give them an independent contractor agreement. For example, if you subcontract a designer or a virtual assistant to help you in your business. These outline a scope of work, payment terms, intellectual property rights, and confidentiality. When you're reading through an independent contractor agreement, pay particular attention to the relationship, IP, and third party liability clauses. First of all, the relationship clause outlines that they are not an employee but a contractor, which means that you don't need to provide them with things like benefits, pay their taxes, and abide by specific employment regulations in your jurisdiction. Two, the IP clause. Make sure that whatever your contractor creates, you own the IP rights to. If your contractor keeps the IP rights to a design of a logo and you hand it off to a client, your client wouldn't be able to trademark it because technically they won't own the IP to the design. Another thing to note is third party liability clauses. These prevent big issues down the line, such as what happens if your contractor copies an idea, gives it to you, and you give it to a client, and your client gets sued for copyright infringement. Who is the responsible party in this scenario? The next contract we're going to discuss is the NDA, or the Non Disclosure Agreement. This is a contract used to protect sensitive and confidential information shared between parties during or before a business relationship occurs. This information can be business and marketing plans, new product developments, technology, client lists, etc. Basically, anytime you're sharing any confidential information, make sure the other party signs an NDA. For example, you hire a coach and their service agreement doesn't have an NDA clause, and you're about to give them all of your business secrets. Simply provide them with an NDA to make sure your proprietary business information is secure. Your trade secrets are what make you money in your business. Don't give them away for free. Sign an NDA. The three documents or contracts that you definitely need on your website are terms and conditions, privacy policy, and disclaimers. And if you're selling anything on your website, you're going to need a terms of purchase. Let me take you through some quick definitions, but we're going to really dive into this in Module 2. So, terms of and conditions, aka terms of use, is a policy that outlines how your website should be used by the user, what their rights are, and what your rights are. For example, some key clauses that this document should include are copyright and trademark, IP licensing, third party websites, and affiliate link disclaimers. Your privacy policy. This outlines to your user how you are gathering information about them and how you use it. This includes cookies, emails, payment information, etc. This is a legally required document and you must have one on your website regardless of where you are located. Otherwise, you can be fined by the government. Disclaimers. This limits your liability if anyone were to misuse the information on your website. It's essentially stating that you're not responsible for anything on there. Disclaimers are highly unique to the business. So, for example, lawyers have disclaimers on their website stating that you have not hired them and that everything on the site is for educational purposes only and not legal advice. Now, the terms of purchase. This is a legally binding document between you and your customer, commonly used on a checkout page or next to the purchase button. This is usually used for courses, digital and physical products, etc. It outlines how the purchaser can use your product, Your sales policy, payment policies, refund policies, and any disclaimers or liability, as well as protecting your intellectual property. If you run an online business, you will most likely end up collaborating with someone in the future. There are a few agreements out there that can help you navigate those relationships. First of all, the collaboration agreement. Use these when collaborating with someone. This document lays out responsibilities, obligations, rights, and benefits of each party. For example, you are a developer and you collaborate with a designer to make a website. The designer copies the design from another business. The project is finished, and a few months later, your client is being sued by that business the designer copied. The client, in turn, sues both of you for compensation. A collaboration agreement can limit that liability and make sure that the client will only be able to sue the designer. Now, exchange of services agreements. This is a contract you need when you are exchanging services instead of having a monetary exchange. For example, a logo for an SEO check. Use the contract to detail the terms of the skill swap and what happens if one party defaults. Just because you're friends does not mean a contract isn't necessary. You might trust the other person, but misunderstandings do happen. For example, you create a design for your friend, and in exchange, they will program your website. What if you complete the design and they never complete your website? And then you come back and they tell you that they were too busy and didn't realize there was a deadline? A contract could prevent that. Partnership agreements. A partnership agreement is a legally binding contract that outlines the terms and conditions agreed upon by partners in a joint business venture, dealing their respective roles, responsibilities, and profit sharing arrangements. Now, if you are going into business with someone, please have a partnership agreement. Anything can happen. What if a party decides to stop working? What if a party doesn't want to work with you anymore? How do you resolve a dispute between each other, etc.? Trust me, you're going to want one. Now, we've made it through essential contracts. This is by no means an exhaustive list, but I hope this helped you understand what kind of contracts you need in your business and why you need them. So let's now go through contract best practices and tips.